I do have a question. When it first got started, who was supposed to, okay, like the Amber Alert, was it supposed to be in one state or was it supposed to be like every state?
Well, when it first started, it started there in the Dallas Fort Worth market of Texas. Okay, and it was probably a year or so after we just started doing it amongst the radio stations. It was nearly a year or so before it went statewide. So the Amber Alert, it actually took off there in the state of Texas, and what happened was that people from different parts of the country began to inquire about the success that was happening there in Texas, and California came in and they saw how it was being piloted there in Texas, and so they took it to California, and then other states began to take it back to their particular parts of the country and enact the same program. But it was not until President Bush became in the office to make it a national curriculum.
Okay. So it was the radio programs that did the announcing of the missing child?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, what happened was that the sheriff, who was at that time was the leading investigator, his name is D. Anderson, he came onto the show, and he was just sharing with people that, we're out of clues. This girl just vanished off the face of the earth, as it seemed like, and he was just, lamenting to the public that, we don't have any help. We're out of clues. And so it was just really the plan of God for him to be at the radio station and for me to call the station, talk to the host, and the show was there at the same time. And we all just kind of conversed among each other, and we said, that's so simple, but I think that would work if we just took up. If you think about it, prior to this, what they would do is the law enforcement community, they would just keep things to themselves until days later when they were out of clues, and God only knows where a child can be 2 or 3 days after a fact.
Right.
A little bit earlier, you asked me about our ministry.
Right.
And the ministry in which we serve under now, I am a very humble man. I am a former senior pastor. When I was in Texas, I was a senior pastor of Refreshing Springs International Family Church. That was up until about 3 years ago. And the Lord has redirected our steps, and now we're serving on the staff of First Church of God here in Columbus, Ohio, where my pastor is Bishop Timothy Joseph Clark.
No, wonderful, wonderful. I just think it's an incredible story, and I think it's one that is necessary and so empowering for people to hear and just to know. And so, oftentimes me and Janice and our staff here, we talk about the Amber Alert and people's understanding about how that is. Now, I have a question for you, Pastor William. Why do you think that African American children are not getting the same exposure in the media when it comes to some of these tragic stories of being missing and kidnapped and abducted?
Absolutely. I'm so very glad. When I read your article about your mission, I was so pleased to finally see somebody else beating this drum. Because there's something wrong in America today when Natalie Holloway can garner the news for almost 2 years. Okay? And you know how many black young ladies are missing in 2 years that will never even mention? Those type of things bother me. But I believe that it goes back to two things. One, education, and two, community involvement. Okay? Where we are now, we have a generation of young people who are coming up, young people who are having children who really do not know what all their resources are. And, that's going to happen, that they're going to be educated through the form of education. The other thing is simply our black community and was killed. And it was like, you know, he was just a 3-second spot on the news. But and that's not right. But when you see the Caucasians coming across, and I mean, they blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, Fox, they will plaster it for hours. And you know, and obviously that's the way the Amber Alert is supposed to work. But I have a grave concern, much like you do, that our black children, the value is not being put on the lives of our black children like they are the white children.
Right. And you know, it's funny, I even was listening and watching The View, the television show The View, and one of the hosts there even mentioned that about how African American kids are not getting the same exposure in the media. And I guess the next question is, and this is sort of our mission and why we started, and Janet started Saving Our Children, and we're pulling our resources together, and we're doing these things to educate and, you know, put information out there, is how do we change that? You know, is the answer going to be sort of make this, one of the systems you put in place accountable for that? Because I'm sure that, you know, when God, you know, gave you that envisionment, it wasn't just for African American children, it was for all children.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the sad part is you are an African American man. And you brought this situation to light, and yet the children who are sort of being pushed to the side
Right.
Are the African American kids. So what do we do now? Do we sort of start something new and move forward? Do we sort of, I know the community involvement, and we're working in a lot of areas of that, and I'm sure we will partner some partnerships with you and
Sure.
great work that you're doing as well. But what do you think we should do at this particular point?
At this particular juncture, okay, because it is a crisis, okay. Our, you know, there was a meeting with the Department of Justice, Deborah J. Daniels, and she came forth in a meeting here in Columbus, Ohio, and she recently said, we want all of our children, we want the nation to know that all of our children count. All of our children do. And so your question is, where do we go from here to get this plight turned, to get this situation turned around? I believe that right now, I've got letters going back to Washington. I've got letters going back to the National Black Caucus. If anything is going to happen, we're going to need their support, because I'm calling upon the National Black Caucus Committee to help us save our black children. Okay? And so what I would encourage our listeners to do is to simply pick up the phone and contact the National Black Caucus there in Washington, whoever your member is in your state. Contact them and let them know that you are concerned that our black children are not getting the same exposure as the little white ones are. And the reason for this is that I would say contact Fox, but that wouldn't do it. You know, contacting the individual media giants, that will not do it. It has to be done from a national standpoint, okay? And I believe that if it is approached by that, we will then get new Senate hearings as to the fairness of how it is being administered. I don't think that, and really, what they will do is that they will come forth and they will review the matter. But when your child is missing, okay, when your child is missing, you don't care what they're doing in Washington, okay?
Right.
Let's bring it home here, okay? When your child is missing, I would encourage everybody, I mean, to raise a fist. When that officer comes to your door or comes to your house or wherever, I mean, you immediately, first thing you say is, does my child get an Amber Alert? Should this be under an Amber Alert? Because